Aisha stood at the break room window. The company-wide email announcing another quarter of losses had just landed, and the undercurrent of tension crackled in the air. This wasn't the first time, and Aisha, the only African on the sales team, knew what was coming. Every slump, every missed target, became a subtle indictment. Sidelong glances from colleagues, terse comments from managers. The implication was clear: somehow, someway, it was her fault. It stung. Aisha prided herself on being the hardest worker in the team. She put in extra hours, meticulously researched leads, and closed deals her colleagues wouldn't touch. Yet, when the tide turned, she became the convenient scapegoat, her heritage a silent accusation. The frustration choked her. She replayed the pep talk she'd given herself countless times: focus on the work, let your results speak for themselves. But the constant microaggressions chipped away at her confidence. Had they not noticed her exceeding her quota every month? Did they not see the extra effort she poured in, the nights spent strategizing while others clocked out? This time, Aisha wouldn't stay silent. She stormed into her manager's office, data files clutched in her hand. "Let's talk numbers," she said, her voice firm. She laid out her consistently strong performance, the deals she'd secured, the clients she'd retained. The manager, a man who usually avoided her gaze, finally met her eyes. A flicker of surprise crossed his face, replaced quickly by a forced neutrality. "We all have to pull together, Aisha," he mumbled, offering empty platitudes. But Aisha wouldn't back down. "Together," she emphasized, "doesn't mean scapegoating." She demanded a fair evaluation, a dismantling of the unconscious bias that painted her with the same brush as the company's shortcomings. The conversation wasn't easy. But for the first time, Aisha felt heard. There were no immediate apologies, but a shift occurred. The scrutiny lessened, replaced by a grudging acknowledgement of her contributions. The path wouldn't be smooth, but Aisha had planted a seed. She knew the fight for true equality wasn't over, but she had taken a stand. But the whispers in the break room continued, the microaggressions a constant undercurrent. Every sales meeting felt like navigating a minefield, successes met with polite indifference, failures magnified. The weight of it all began to crush her. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by nights replaying every interaction, dissecting every word for hidden bias. Work, once her solace, turned into a battleground. The effort that used to fuel her success now felt Sisyphean. The numbers she used to wield with such pride started to slip. The joy of the chase, the thrill of the close, evaporated. One morning, staring at a blank sales report, a familiar wave of nausea washed over her. Panic clawed at her throat. This wasn't just frustration anymore. It was a full-blown anxiety attack, the first of many. The vibrant, tenacious Aisha was fading, replaced by a hollow shell going through the motions. Fear coiled in her gut. Was this what they wanted? Was she internalizing their biases, turning them into her own reality? The thought was terrifying. She confided in a colleague, Sarah, the only one who'd ever offered Aisha a genuine smile. Sarah, a quiet observer, listened with empathy. "You can't keep fighting this alone, Aisha," Sarah said gently. "Maybe it's time to consider." The sentence hung unfinished, but the unspoken message was clear. Aisha knew Sarah was right. This company, this environment, was sucking the life out of her. Leaving felt like defeat, but staying was slowly destroying her. The decision gnawed at her. But as she looked at her reflection in the rain-streaked window, a spark of defiance flickered back to life. Aisha wouldn't let them win. She wouldn't let their prejudice define her. Taking a deep breath, she started drafting her resignation letter. It wouldn't be easy, but she knew one thing for sure: her worth wasn't measured by the biased metrics of this company. It was time to find a place where her talent and dedication would be valued, not scapegoated. The fight for equality might not have been won here, but Aisha wouldn't let it break her. She would walk out with her head held high, ready to find her true place, a place where the rain would nourish, not drown, the seeds of her potential. Aisha's initial relief at leaving the old company was like a cool drink on a scorching day. The new firm, a smaller startup with a diverse team, felt like a breath of fresh air. She threw herself into her work, determined to prove herself anew. Here, her heritage wasn't a silent accusation, but a source of curiosity. Her colleagues celebrated her different perspective, her understanding of a new market. For a while, it felt like a dream come true. But a creeping unease started to gnaw at her. Subtle comments, like the one about her interesting negotiation style, or the assumption that she wouldn't understand a specific technical term, chipped away at her newfound confidence. But the experience at the first company wasn't an anomaly. The microaggressions, the subtle othering, seemed to follow her like a shadow. Despair threatened to consume her. Was there ever going to be a place where she could simply be Aisha, the talented salesperson, without the constant undercurrent of prejudice? It wasn't Aisha's fault, it was the system. The constant battle began to take its toll. Aisha loved sales, but the love was slowly withering under the relentless strain. One evening, staring out her window at the city lights, a childhood memory surfaced. It was a picture of her, a little girl, eyes sparkling with joy as she created intricate jewelry with colorful beads. That forgotten passion, buried under years of chasing corporate success, flickered back to life. The decision wasn't easy. Leaving the security of a steady paycheck was daunting. Yet, the yearning for creative freedom and a space free from prejudice was stronger. With a deep breath, Aisha drafted a business plan, her meticulous sales skills surprisingly useful in this new venture. She poured her heart and soul into crafting unique, culturally inspired jewelry, drawing on her heritage for inspiration. The journey was steep. Long nights were spent learning new skills, marketing her brand, and navigating the challenges of being a solo entrepreneur. But this time, the exhaustion was different. It was fueled by passion, not anxiety. The fear of failure was replaced by the thrill of creation. Slowly, Aisha's business began to flourish. Her unique pieces resonated with customers, and her online store buzzed with activity. She built a loyal following, not just for her products, but for the story behind them, a story of resilience, of reclaiming her voice and her heritage. Aisha, the once beleaguered salesperson, was no more. In her place stood a thriving businesswoman, an artist who had found her voice. The world of corporate sales, with its ingrained biases, might not have been ready for Aisha, but Aisha had created her own world, a world where success was measured by the joy of creation, the freedom to be herself, and the quiet hum of contentment that filled her heart. Aisha had not just survived, she had thrived, a testament to the unwavering human spirit and the power of following your true passion.